This podcast is brought to you by Mapper Forward's new Patreon community, the Global Coffee Think Tank. Check the show notes or head to patreon.com/Mapper Forward to find out how you can become a member today. Welcome back to episode 4 of our 5-part series with Ahmad Aleidan from Bayan Teas in Kuwait. Ahmad, we are talking about specialty tea, and we have spoken about where it's traded. We have spoken about what the different kinds of tea is or are, or whichever the way that grammar is supposed to work. But today we're going to get a little bit risky, and we're going to talk about politics and tea, and we're going to talk about climate change and tea. We're going to talk about how those things, both climate change and geopolitics, are really influencing the way that the tea industry is forming itself and trying to navigate these very challenging times. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the economics around it and the inflationary pressures that are being put on tea, as with every other commodity around the world right now. But today, let's explore how geopolitics and climate change are impacting how tea is being traded.
Okay. Well, if we focus more of how actually tea crossed borders from China itself, it initially was in China. Then after the British occupation of Canton, which is Hong Kong today, and since their demand and availability and presence in let's say the Indian Peninsula, they decided to shift their control of a commodity all the way from China to India, and from India all the way to Ceylon. So basically, tea was a main commodity as what's considered to be today oil and other commodities that the world demands. After let's say a specific time, specific change. Global events that occurred, China has shrunken when it comes to geographic control. So now China, we know that main China, we know there are some challenges that China is facing with Hong Kong, China is facing with Macau, and China is also having the challenges that are happening with Taiwan itself. Aside of having the economic strength that Taiwan do possess against Hong Kong and Macau, tea production itself has been forced to be looked at as New World and Old World tea producers. Yes, you see, Myanmar and Thailand and other parts, Indonesia and Malaysia do produce tea. However, the mass market production and mass consumers are considered to be mainland China, and the mainland China would be prejudiced to tea that is not produced in mainland China with the same methods or probably or same names, let's say when name calling, if it goes as far as like how they say it's long, let's say Longjing or Dragonwell green tea in China. There is also Longjing and Dragonwell tea in Taiwan. However, it looks different and it tastes different.
So is that a pride issue? Is that like a national pride perspective? Is that why?
I think it's because of let's say people have moved away from China all the way to the other parts of the world. And some people, the Chinese fight against and with, let's say, the new world order that they have imposed themselves after this the Second World War, I believe, where China had became the People's Republic of China, where it was an empirical system before that. And some of those people have decided that whatever the law and the new system that was imposed on them, is not suitable for them anymore. So they shifted away. They drifted
Mm-hmm.
away to Taiwan. Taiwan do have indigenous people who consider themselves one way. They call themselves the Hakka people or the mountain people. They're aborigines. They're original to these areas. And then you have the Chinese people who have descended from China all the way to Taiwan, descending from all parts of China. So you can say that Taipei and Taiwan, as small as it comes, is a melting pot of cultures that comes in from northern, eastern, western, southern China all the
Mm.
way to one place. And to each side of of China has a different way of perceiving tea, how the way they produce tea, how the way to consume tea as well. So Taiwan has created itself not entirely by itself. It has to come in from the influence that Japan has to get to introduce to it. So actually Taiwan did not produce tea beyond the influence of the Japanese occupation. It was a cultural thing. So people came in from northern areas from China or from China to Taiwan actually came in after the Japanese influence.
Wow.
Yes. So
Wow.
the Japanese initially came in occupying some parts of China, some parts of Korea, and also Taiwan itself, where they believe that Taiwan is an excellent place to produce tea. So hence comes in the first plant of tea actually didn't come from China, but it come from Japan. It was an Assamica tea that came in from Japan by boat, and they hence to start the process of creating tea in an excellent, ideal environment. Then we would talk about how the influence of the Chinese culture coming in to develop the tea. Then you can see that, well, now you would understand why China does not like the idea of having oolongs coming from Taiwan, even though Taiwan is now producing a far more greater, better quality oolongs than China would do in specific categories. Then you come in and see the people who have drifted all the way to Thailand and Indonesia and other parts of China, of Asia, which are producing their own types of teas, and that will be looked at also in the same prejudiced way of saying, "God, this is all New World tea." Nowadays, Bayan Tea is stressing out the idea of having the airspace of Taiwan in say
Infiltrated
violated
by
by
Chinese.
exactly.
I think, like, can I
You,
just say it's probably not just Bayan Tea that's stressing out about that. It's probably
I think
everybody in the
everyone.
world is stressing out about that.
You see, whatever people think about it from a political side, I think of it from a livelihood. See, a majority of my teas are from Taiwan, so this is actually giving me
A
a
headache.
hard time to. Oh, it's a huge headache. But the thing is, uh, the they're resilient people.
Yes.
They've seen struggles, and they're pushing through it. So I think it's one of those things that will continue to go and push through it. But
Inshallah.
politically, it's inshallah, it's making it difficult for people to understand how to communicate, how to deal with, like, Kuwait as a country and every other country in the world. If uh, acknowledges Taiwan, has to do not acknowledge or China. So either accept, you either accept relations with China,
Or you
give it
acknowledge that Taiwan is a
it's
separate
its own,
country.
yes, country, or it has its own sovereignty and on all that. So whatever place that has a Chinese embassy, the office would be a business office. It's like um and a trade office that will be having Taipei trade office where they will do it and help you out in dealing with such things. And that would be something more of a challenge for China, for Taiwan to help us out. And when it comes to having a healthy economical, let's say, relationship with some of the countries. And even now, uh, this is one of the things that have been going for more than 70 years, maybe. I'm not quite sure the
Yeah, wow.
timeline of that.
Hmm.
But it doesn't look, it's comforting that to say that there are some stabilities until recent times.
That's
But
such an
now it's,
understatement.
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be as honest with you as possible.
Without getting yourself cancelled.
Um, you know, it's when it comes to doing and dealing in businesses, and
Yeah, no, I
there are
understand.
you have to have at least a clear channel of
Yeah,
communication, clear channel of transportation, logistics, and all that. It's been there for quite a long time. We haven't stressed. For my time in business from 2016 until this moment, we haven't felt a risk in the business, despite whatever you see on the papers and newspapers and the media outlets. We've been talking to our friends over there, and it was not a subject of stress or subject of a discussion until recent times, which is why we are now kind of worried of our friends first and foremost
yep,
before anything else.
yep,
I mean, it's a tea business. Whatever it happens, we would try to make do as we did with Corona and the
yep.
pandemic, and we try to survive. But at the end, these are the livelihoods of friends and families that I hold close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Taiwan is a place that I loved. I love the people. I love the environment. I love the culture, and I certainly love the tea over there. So it's kind of and from a person of experience, or let's say in a young age, I have to say that it is sad to see what we're seeing today.
Okay. So we're going to wrap up this episode and then we're going to come
Okay.
back into the next one and we're going to talk about climate change and its influence on tea. Perfect.
Awesome.
Peace, love, and peanut butter, everybody. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.